to the Will Klinger, Yonda bioproduction.
And we're going to cover Chapter 34, the biosphere and nature of the Earth's diverse environments. We're going to cover the biosphere in general, aquatic biomes, and also terrestrial biomes.
And starting off, there's 4 groups you need to focus on. There's organisms, which is like the actual species in an area. There are populations, which is a bunch of organisms in a particular area. There's community, which is a bunch of populations put together. And there's also ecosystem, which is all the abiotic and biotic factors. Abiotic meaning non-living and biotic meaning living.
A term that is important and that you should know is the biosphere, and this is basically the global ecosystem, and it is the sum of all of Earth's ecosystems, terrestrial and aquatic.
And a lot of environmental problems have come up in the last 30 years. One of which is DDT, which made eagles' eggs very brittle, and really the eagle population really took a hit, and so that was just an example of an environmental problem.
Solar energy is a very important abiotic factor. It powers almost all of life. It is converted to glucose by producers, and also heat is very important for those producers that live on the bottom of oceans where sunlight isn't accessible. They have to use heat to produce energy. Water is also essential for life, but is limited, so land animals have to retain water by coverings and kidneys that filter out water. Temperature affects metabolisms. If the temperature is too hot, the enzymes denature and your metabolism just gets messed up. And active metabolisms are between the temperature 0 to 45 degrees Celsius.
Many organisms, depending on where they live, have adapted to those environments. Like, for example, the antelope in Africa it lives in a very dry region, so it has heat can escape easily. It's adapted to make the hairs on its back stiffen, so heat can escape easier, so it'll stay cool in the hot sun. And then also it eats a lot of hard grasses, and it's tough to chew up, so their teeth are specially adapted to make that easier for them. And that's just an example of how animals have adapted. So if you put an antelope in a forest around here, it wouldn't survive long because it's not adapted to it.
Because of Earth's curvature, sunlight hits it unequally. Most sunlight is at the equator. That's where most of the sun hits the Earth directly, and the least is at the North and South poles. That's why the days are longest at the equator and shorter at the North and South poles. The tropics are between the equator and 23.5 degrees north and south latitude. And temperate zones are between the Antarctic and Arctic circles and the tropics. The United States is in a temperate zone, and they cover most of the world.
For oceans, there's a bunch of zones you need to know about. There's the intertidal zone, which is where the shore meets the actual ocean. And the actual ocean, the open ocean, is called the pelagic zone. And the ocean floor is called the benthic zone. That's where you'll find most of animals are around the ocean floor, because that's where the debris settles and the food. And the photic zone is right above. It's within it's where the light hits, basically. So that's where you'll find algae, because that needs light to make food. And the aphotic zone is below where the light hits. So when you see the animals that have those lights, in Finding Nemo, they're in the aphotic zone because there's no light. And that's the largest and most unexplored ecosystem on Earth.
Alright. The freshwater biomes include lakes, ponds, rivers, streams, and wetlands. Light is necessary for survival for plants that live in the bottom of these, especially lakes and ponds, because the water isn't flowing and moving. Some fertilizers stimulate algae growth with the phosphorus and nitrogen in it, and it blocks the sunlight from penetrating into the ponds and lakes, and the plants on the bottom of these die because they don't have access to the sunlight.
There are 10 types of terrestrial biomes. There's tropical forest, savanna, desert, chaparral, temperate grassland, temperate broadleaf forest, coniferous forest, tundra, high mountains, and polar ice. And
Alright, so the tropical forest have 11 to 12 hour days because the sunlight hits them directly. They have lots of rainfall, 200 to 400 centimeters per year. They have a great diversity of life because of the habitat that the tree layers create for them. And humans destroy these forests for resources such as rubber, and they just cut down the trees to get paper. And also there's medicine found in the tropical forest, and scientists are exploring to find medicine to cure cancer and other illnesses.
in the savanna, it's basically just like you'll see a lot of them in Africa, like African savannas. It's just basically a scattered grassland, and they have a lot of rainfall year, and it's warm year round. And just pretty much it.
Deserts are the driest biome.
For
They
sure.
receive less than 30 centimeters of rainfall per year, and that's pretty much how they're characterized by their lack of rainfall.
Chaparral are in mid-coastal areas, and they have lots of it's kind of a desert region, but there's many short shrubs, and that's where you find like fire-resistant roots, and a lot of fires occur there because when there's a fire, like it releases seeds, and it needs the seeds. The fire creates a certain heat for the seeds to be released.
Temperate grasslands also have fires that prevent several plants from growing, especially woody plants like trees. But trees are able to grow along rivers, and temperate grasslands have expanded since the last ice age.
In broadleaf forest, this includes most of the eastern United States. This is where we live. It's like the original forest, like what we know as a forest, and you see the colors change in the fall. It's like what you guys see in your backyard, basically.
Yeah, and the trees drop their leaves. On the other hand, coniferous forests have conifers that keep their leaves year round, and taiga is the largest biome and is the northern coniferous forest. It has cool temperature and acidic soil because of the pine needles that fall.
In the tundra, it's Russian for marshy plain, and it's up in the top of the world, along near the North Pole and Greenland and Iceland. And what happens is it's characterized by permafrost, whereas the top layer of soil is frozen because it's so cold, and that's why it's very poor filtration because it's stuck. The water can't go anywhere, and it's very tough for things to grow there because the roots can't penetrate through there.
Alright, and that is our presentation. Thank you.